and the dog are here again to tell you about every Batman cartoon that I can find on this funny list. So, first and foremost, there was The Adventures of Batman, right? So, in this one, it's coming hot off the tail of the 1966 Batman starring Adam West. So, continuing on was this cartoon to capitalize. Now, it didn't have Adam West, though. It had Olan Soule and Casey Kasem. For those that don't know, Casey Kasem was actually the original Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. Now, I've seen bits and pieces of this one, mostly through like gag videos and stuff like that. And I'm not even gonna lie, for the time, I think it was pretty good. It was just in essence very similar to Adam West's Batman. But then it had its a very brief run. It was literally just about 17 episodes or so from 1968 to 1969. There was other stuff in between, like Super Friends, but I'm just looking at some Batman cartoons, right? There was The New Adventures of Batman. Now this one, much more heavily Adam West, because he came back. Adam West and Burt Ward. What you doing, dog? Adam West and Burt Ward, they returned for being Batman and Robin. And honestly, I always thought this one and the first series I talked about were the same show. Turns out they were not. But then after that, Batman went on a hiatus, let's say, animation-wise. But then returns, right? In my favorite cartoon known to man, Batman the Animated Series. Starring the late Kevin Conroy, Batman the Animated Series was brought to life by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. It was fresh, it was new, it took a lot of inspiration from Michael Keaton's Batman 1989. The animation was beautiful. Fun fact, contrary to most animation studios, which was you would do pencil on white background, this was actually black background with a white stencil and what have you, to give it this like darker, more gothic feel that I think really translated well through the appearance and through everything feeling like noir. Stylistically, it was a wonderful blend of like, you'd have your bat computers, but everybody would have Tommy guns. It was this really specific subsection of like a world. Kevin Conroy becomes this iconic voice as Batman. It also brings Mark Hamill, most famous as Luke Skywalker, to voice the Joker. Match made in heaven. They would go on to do stuff like the Arkham video games. They'd pop up in other shows. It was awesome. I could talk about this one forever. There's themes, there's substance. It's a beautiful cartoon. It is one of my favorite Batman adaptations. I will stand by that. I think it was great. Right? I mean, they ended up going through redesign for the new Batman Adventures, but it was essentially the same show, though a little progressed. I mean, Dick Grayson was now Nightwing, Tim Drake was in the mix. I mean, I look at them as like hand in hand. It feels like essentially one continuous line, because it's a direct continuation. So they're essentially, outside of new looks, it's the same show. But then you look at Batman Beyond and you're like, what is this? Which I absolutely loved. Batman Beyond, Batman of the future. Bruce Wayne is older now, still voiced by Kevin Conroy, but they introduce a new Batman in Terry McGinnis, voiced by Will Friedle. This one was underrated, in my opinion. I think Terry McGinnis was a great, different kind of Batman. Keeping Kevin's voice for an older Batman was genius because you still identify with him. This is still a sequel to Batman the Animated Series, but like keeping him in the role really makes you connect. Even when other characters had their voices changed, like Superman was now voiced by he's from Happy Gilmore, the gentleman that plays Shooter McGavin. I can't remember, but I think that cartoon was actually really good. I think visually the techno future, similar to stuff like Blade Runner, looks really nice, while still trying to adhere to the darker tones of like visual style. So fun. Then that comes and goes. There's Justice League in between, which once again I'm just focusing on a Batman centric stuff. And you look at the Batman. I think the Batman, which is my co-host's favorite iteration of cartoon, the Batman was this very sharp edges. Everybody's got redesigned. I like the originality. I think the approach for things was really good. The only thing is, where Batman the Animated Series even revolutionized villains, such as Mr. Freeze, who got this whole new tragic background, the Batman sort of like skims Mr. Freeze, who just just a TV show prior was this heartbreaking villain, is now just reduced to your generic robber. I mean, there are it has its faults, but what it lacks in terms of the substance, it makes up for in such an interesting combat visually, a good voice cast. Rhino Romano as Batman. He's one of the few people that can tack off being Batman and Spider-Man as something, because fun fact, he's a Spider-Man Unlimited Spider-Man. Overall, though, I think I think this is a whole is a really good cartoon. I really would have liked to see more from the world, to be honest with you. There were I saw this recently. There were talks of doing a Superman spin-off of this show, which I think could have been something interesting. But I mean, the time has long passed. Underrated would not begin to describe Batman the Brave and the Bold, though, because this is like in the silver age of comic books, the comics code was really hand over fist the ruling authority, so it was no longer, you couldn't really push any envelopes. Everything was cartoonish and colorful, and this cartoon embraces that. I liked John DiMaggio's Batman. Diedrich Bader is, I mean, no, Diedrich Bader's Batman. John DiMaggio was Aquaman. Tons of colorful characters, the Music Meister, the Clock King. Bunch of underrated people get utilized more because this is just really Silver Age-esque. Like, you'll see the big penny, you'll see the large Joker card. I think this cartoon was fantastic. Beware the Batman rose up from the ground after being... Okay, so look. Batman the Brave and the Bold reaches its series finale, where it breaks the fourth wall and announces it's getting canceled to be replaced by Beware the Batman. Beware the Batman was not that good. I mean, it was different. Do not get me wrong. But it wasn't that good. Lasting only one season of 26 episodes, Beware the Batman would essentially shelf life Batman in terms of, like, you know, serialized cartoon. He would be on the back burner, which is impressive because it's really hard to put Batman on the back burner because, you know, they try to get any money they can out of him, but he went away for a while. In the stead of simple, like, Cartoon Network Batman cartoons, we got Batman Unlimited for a while, which was technically a YouTube web series instead, which was good for advertising. You'd get a Justice League action in between, but I'm not really talking Justice League, like I said, although Kevin Conroy returned for that one. And, you know, there just really wasn't a Batman cartoon, like a standard serialized Batman cartoon, for about 10 years now. But now we're getting one. Amazon Prime is going to debut Batman Caped Crusader, brought to you by a hodgepodge team of one gentleman behind the animated series, the director of The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, and J.J. Abrams from Star Trek. I'm excited. So I guess we'll see.